I built a six-figure business at the age of 16 from scratch, and the way how I did it is through my clothing brand. And one of the most common questions that I always get asked is, how much did it cost you to start up your own clothing brand? So in this video, I'm going to break down how much it costs to start up your own clothing brand. So let me cut the bullshit, let me cut the fluff, let's get straight into it. How much does it cost to start up a clothing brand? As you know, there are several different methods of starting up and running a clothing brand. And in this video, I'll be breaking down how much it costs to proceed with each of the methods. Now, there's different methods I can name off the top of my head, but in this video, I'm going to break down two specific ones I'm going to go through. So the first method out of the two I'm going to be speaking about today is inventory. So how it works, you create designs and mock-ups of what you want to be made. You contact manufacturers, you find out their MOQs and their lead times, you order in the samples, order in the bulk order, and then sell at a higher margin. This is pretty much the whole business model in a nutshell, but let me go into a bit more depth. So obviously you use either Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever app you use to make your designs and mock-ups. And alongside that, you create a tech pack of exactly how you want your garments to be made. This gives the manufacturer a really detailed idea of how you want the piece to be made and to be built. And two, when you contact your manufacturers, this is probably one of the most important things, part of the process. Whether you find manufacturers through Manufacturers List or through Alibaba or AliExpress or whatever website or domain you use to find manufacturers. So when you find your manufacturers and when you're contacting them, you need to find out their MOQs and their lead times. MOQ stands for minimum order quantity. Ideally, when you're first starting out, you want to have the lowest MOQ as possible. You don't really want to be placing orders for 100, 200 pieces right at the beginning because you're just first starting out. The lead times are super important because if they've got long lead times, it's going to be a lot of waiting around for samples to come, waiting for bulk orders to come, and this just slows down the process and slows you down from making money, full stop. So once you've found your manufacturer, you found which one you want to go with, you've sent in the rough ideas of what you want and you've sent in your tech packs, this is when you start to order in your samples. And on average, very rarely manufacturers get samples correct first time. So you'll probably need to order between 2 and 4 samples to actually perfect your product. So then now, once they've actually got your product bang on the way you've liked it, this is when you order in the bulk. So let's say the manufacturer's MOQ is 60 pieces. So you're gonna order in 60 pieces of whatever you want to order, whether it being a hoodie, shirts, jeans, whatever it is. You order in that amount of pieces and they arrive to you. Once you've got that, you market them and then you sell at a higher margin. So what I mean by that is, let's say each piece costed you $16, then you sell each hoodie or shirt, whatever you're selling, at maybe $50 or $60. That's what I mean by selling at a higher margin. What are the pros about using inventory? What are the pros about going through with this inventory route? It's fully customizable. You can make your idea literally come to life. The vision you have in your head with a good manufacturer, they can make your idea come to life. 2, there's very good profit margins. 3, you can have your exact sizing and measurements of each garment. So as I said, this goes back to the fully customizable point as well. And 4, there's fairly good shipping times. However, it does come at a cost. But regardless, there's good shipping times. However, there's several cons that come with going through inventory as well. So 1 is very high risk. When I mean high risk, you're potentially putting up $1,000, $2,000 up front with literally no guarantee of any result. And as a starter, it's quite scary to go through that. 2, you can't scale quickly. Now, what I mean by you can't scale quickly is because you're so dependent on the manufacturers, there's a lot of waiting time between samples and bulk orders. So let's say, for example, it will take 2 months for samples to arrive and another 2 months for a bulk order to arrive. That's 4 months gone. And it'll probably take another month for you to market all of this until drop day. It's 4 to 5 months gone. You're only set to a certain amount of revenue you can make. So it's hard to scale quickly. 3, you need capital to start. It's very hard to start a clothing brand with a low amount of capital. If you had $1,000 left in your bank account and that's all you had, you're gonna need to put all of that into a bulk order in order to get some sort of a good drop. 4, I've mentioned this already several times in the video, but you're very dependent on your manufacturer. Like the manufacturer can literally determine whether if you succeed or you fail. They could very much easily fuck up your whole thing, but they could very much easily give you the best products as possible. And this just goes back to the decision you made of which manufacturer you go with. So how much does it cost to go through with inventory? So with the cost, sampling is around about $75 to $150. plus 2 to 3 months of waiting. The 2 to 3 months of waiting is way more expensive than whatever fee you pay for a sample, in my opinion, because you've probably heard it several times, but your time is your money. The bulk order is probably around about $1,000. If the MOQ is around 60, it will probably be 16.67 per piece. That rounds up to $1,000 on a bulk order. Marketing can be free. I'm telling you now, you don't need high-tech cameras, high-end cameras in a studio with white background and a green screen and it's like, trust me, you don't. You could literally get you, some of your boys, go out filming and get some good content with your phone. Your phone is very capable of producing good content. These are $1,000. Of course, they'll be good at capturing some good content, so use them. And website design is between $100 and $500, depending on who you go with. Let's just put it in that range because every service varies. So in total, it's between $1,200 and $1,700 to start up your own clothing brand via inventory. Now, does this mean this is the best way and best method to start up your clothing brand with? I mean, let's just actually talk about the logistics here. Like best case scenario, you sell out all your stock, right? You sell out all 60 pieces. 60 pieces selling at $50 each. Best case scenario, you get 3K of revenue. But for this 3K of revenue, you've put in 3 to 4 months of work. Genuinely ask yourself this question, like, do you think that's worth it? Do you think 3 to 4 months of hard work is only worth $3,000? In my opinion, no. I don't think it's worth it at all. And bear in mind, this is best case scenario. 99% of people who do this don't even sell out. If you followed everything perfectly, marketed perfectly, built up a following, built up hype around your product, and actually built a community around your social media pages, then you've got a chance of selling out. And if you sell out, this is the maximum you can make. So in my eyes, I don't personally think this is worth it to start off with. So yeah, as I said, is it worth it? In my opinion, no. However, there's 2 methods I've got onto this. So method number 2 is print on demand, or POD, as I like to say. So what is POD? How it works is essentially you're the middleman between the manufacturer and the customer. How it actually works. 1, you create your designs, again via Photoshop or Illustrator, whatever app you use. Then you find the best manufacturers who offer this service. You upload your designs onto their website, link their website to your Shopify store, then the products are ready to sell on your store. So again, this is it summed up in a nutshell, but let me go more into depth. In short terms, you're basically drop shipping your own clothes. Most people, when they hear the term print on demand, they immediately think of websites like Printify, Printly, Printful. I'll tell you now, don't ever use them. They're shit. Like, they're trash, okay? I'm talking about really good manufacturers, really good print on demand manufacturers who have good quality blanks, good quality shirts, and actually have good quality prints. So every time someone places an order, the product is made, packaged, and shipped to your customer. It's all done for you. I like to say it's literally like having a clothing brand on easy mode. The pros and cons of going through POD. So let's start with the pros. There's very low startup costs. You barely need anything to start up, especially through print on demand. There's low risk. So with this, you don't risk losing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5K on a bulk order, right? Compared to inventory, before you even drop, unless you do a pre-order, but that's a separate conversation. Before you even drop, you have to spend $1,000 or $2,000 of your hard-earned money on a bunch of clothes and a bunch of items that you have to sell. If not, you're fucked, right? So with this, there's very low risk at all. You can still drop, and worst case scenario, you get no sales, it's fine, you've wasted nothing. 3, you can scale rapidly. So the why I say this is because there's no long sample lead times and bulk lead times. So with inventory, you have to wait a long time for your manufacturer to actually send you the stuff. But with POD, it takes 10 to 13 days for your sample to arrive. And this is consistent, so already you can scale rapidly. This cuts out the waiting time. You've gone from inventory where you have to wait 3 to 4 months to POD is like 2 weeks of waiting time, and that's it. Not only do you save money, you save your time. 4, there are no long lead times. I've already just said this, but lead times are killers. It's low effort. Example, you don't have to package orders, you don't have to ship out orders. Everything is done for you. You just have to know how to market your stuff. And 6, cheaper samples. However, there are some cons that come with this as well. There's lower profit margins. So with inventory, you get good profit margins, but with this, they are slightly lower because the manufacturer is offering a better service, I guess. They're making the product, packaging the product, and shipping them off to your customer, all done for you. So, of course, the margins are going to be a little bit lower for you. There's a lack of customization. So what I mean by lack of customization is that with the actual product itself, there's not much you can really change with the items. All you could change is what's being printed onto the piece, onto the blank, right? In terms of how the shirt or hoodie or long sleeve fits, you don't really have a say in that. So that's what I mean by lack of customization. 3, there's longer shipping times. Yeah, so there's obviously going to be longer shipping times compared to inventory because they are literally making a product from scratch. The max it will take is 2 weeks. Normally it's around about 9 to 11 days. And finally, there's limited items you can sell. So example, basic items. What I mean by this is items such as shirts, hoodies, long sleeves. That's about it. You can't really get specific items you want to sell. For example, like maybe denim jeans or denim jackets or distressed hoodies, distressed caps. There's, again, a lack of customization. However, with inventory, you can make that work. So, as I said, there's pros and cons to everything. So, how much does it actually cost to go through with print on demand? So the sample is $20. Each product and custom packaging is $27 per piece. Marketing, again, I'm going to say is free because you can make work with anything. And the website, again, is between $100 and $500. So in total, without even opening the store, it's probably only $300. This is only for the website and the samples. I rounded up to this number because you can't really put an exact number. You don't know how much you're going to get a website done for unless you could even build it yourself. You don't know how many samples you're going to order. So I just put a rough figure on the amount of money spent before drop day. So now I want to quickly talk about how much you can actually make from your first drop if you go through print on demand. So when dropping, an ideal amount to start with is between $500 and $1,000 with print on demand. Why I say this is because if you don't know already, the money and the revenue you make gets held with Shopify for a certain amount of time, and this is very common for new stores. However, you need to pay off the manufacturer who's printing these shirts and shipping them off to your customers, right? So already there's a cash flow issue. So if you've got only $500 or $1,000 in the bank, you're going to have to use all of that to pay off the manufacturers, and you can't go above a certain amount of sales because if so, there will be quite a big cash flow issue. So you're going to have to cap the amount of pieces that you sell, which is not a problem. But a lot of people can come into big problems with this because they don't realize that Shopify can hold your money for as long as they want. So $500 to $1,000 is more than enough to start off with for print on demand. So like these are two completely different ways of starting up a brand. Now, both ways have their pros and cons, and depending on your situation and what you actually want will determine which method you go through with. Now, what I mean by this is that this is very much dependent on you. Let's say, for example, you want to sell hoodies, distressed jeans, denim pieces, hats, bandanas, whatever you want to sell. Print on demand is probably not the way for you to go because you don't have that customization and you can't really drop products like that through print on demand. And if you want to do that, most likely you really should have a fair amount of cash and capital to start with. Now, if you're the person who wants to go through that route, my opinion, I still don't think you should go through with inventory just yet. But there is a solution, and I'll tell you the solution in just a minute. But if you're the person who doesn't have much to start with, but wants to make money no matter what, like regardless of which method they make it with, they just want to make money, full stop. Print on demand is very much a suitable way for you to do it. All you have to do is find a niche, find a gap in the market, and exploit it. It's very, very, very suitable for you and your situation because, as I said, there's not much startup costs, there's not that much risk, and you can very easily make this work. Now, I just said I'm going to give you the solution if you're the type of person who wants to make those custom pieces but doesn't have the capital to start. Here's a route that you can use. So when you first start out, you can start off by using print on demand as your main method and your main operation of running your clothing brand, right? And once you've built your audience, you've built your following, you've got your first 10, 20, 30K in sales, you can then use the money made from all the drops you've had and use that and transition into inventory. So let's say you've got 30K stored, then you can easily transition from print on demand to inventory like that, because now you've got capital to play with. You can order in a way higher bulk order and make a lot more money and increase your profit margins by a lot. This is the route that I used, and this is the route not many people use because a lot of people don't really know about print on demand. This is something that a lot of people aren't using, and the reason why I'm saying this is because by far this is the best way to make money online quick in 2026. If you're in that position, you want to make a clothing brand, but you don't have the money to start, print on demand is the best way to start with, because you could always transition later on over to inventory, because you will then have legs to stand on, you will then have capital to play with. And okay, worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, you just stick to print on demand. It's a win-win, either situation. So the cost before drop day, here they are side by side with POD rounded to $300 and inventory between that $1,200 and $1,700 mark. As I said, depending on the person you are and the brand you want to create and the financial situation you're in will determine the answer, whether if you go with inventory or if you go with print on demand. The choice is yours, either works, but these are the rough estimate of how much it actually costs to start up a clothing brand in 2026. So that will be it for today's video. If you want to know exactly how I started and scaled my own clothing brand through print on demand and the methods I used, check out my other video. I have the link to that video in the description. Other than that, let me know what you want to see, what you want to know more of. If you want to know more about print on demand, manufacturers, where to find manufacturers, anything clothing brand related and that you want to know, let me know in the comments below, and that will be everything. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in a bit. Peace.